I think Edinburgh is the perfect size of city to live in because it's small enough but big enough. This house is very different from any other flat that I've lived in Edinburgh. I've always lived in tenements. I really love old buildings. I love the high ceilings, the windows. But this flat is actually a 1960s ex-local authority flat. It's very different in its proportions and layout. My name's Eileen Inglis and I currently work at Edinburgh University supporting university founders to start businesses. I also work as a freelancer in the social enterprise sector and I run my own micro business called the Conversation Project. So I've lived in Newhaven for just under a year and I moved here from Cannon Mills where I'd been living for 20 years. I then started looking for somewhere to buy. With prices in Edinburgh being what they are, that was a bit challenging. I live with my daughter, but yeah, we've been really lucky to find somewhere right across from the harbour in Newhaven. It's 2 bedrooms with a separate bathroom, living room and a small kitchen. The rooms are, maybe I'd describe them as more boxy than a tenement, but I'm growing to love it. I've gone with walls and tiles with a lot of white. I did have some ideas for adding a bit of colour, but I just felt it was too much of a commitment, and because I was making decisions really quickly, I didn't want to do something and then regret it in the end. We basically had 3 weeks to put a new bathroom in and sort of semi-renovate the kitchen and paint everywhere. It was very fast. When I moved in, one of the renovation decisions I took was to take all the cupboards off the kitchen wall. It just opens up the wall space and just makes the kitchen feel a lot more spacious. I mostly cook all our food from scratch. At the moment, we're eating a lot of grilled fish, salmon with rice and salad, and actually lentil soup. At the moment, I've seemed to have perfected my spicy lentil soup recipe. I've got a really brightly coloured vintage Moroccan poster on my kitchen wall, which I have spent a bit of time in Morocco. A lot of the artwork that I have has either been done by friends or just gathered up over the years. For me, the living room and the kitchen are where I spend a lot of my time. It's a central part of the house for me and just somewhere when I come home at the end of the day. I just like to relax there. To wind down at night when I'm at home in the living room, I might listen to music, watch a film, watch a documentary. Most of the books I have are non-fiction, things like interiors, some personal development stuff. I love looking at cookery books to get inspired. I'm actually very lucky to have a south-facing balcony in this flat. I definitely didn't think I'd end up finding a flat that had an outside space. I moved in March and it was actually really good weather from March throughout the whole summer, and I would bake homemade scones and make my cup of tea and sit out there in the morning time, and even sometimes I'd do that before going to work, and it would feel like a real treat to just be able to sit outside, almost feel like I was on holiday for 10 minutes on my balcony. That's a ritual when the weather's good enough. I grew up in a very, very small, remote, rural seaside village in Northern Ireland, but I left there when I was about 17. I didn't really think I'd necessarily end up living by the sea in Edinburgh. We're literally across the street from the harbour. There's a really nice boardwalk with restaurants. There's a beautiful lighthouse. The sound that defines Newhaven is the sound of the seagulls. And actually Newhaven gets the best sunsets in Edinburgh. I've spent time living in London, I lived in Australia for a couple of years, I've travelled quite a lot and I feel really attracted to cities. There's something about bringing a bit of the outside in. I like having plants in the house. I mean, I know there's benefits like filtering the air and all of that. I think maybe for me it's more about aesthetics. There's one in the living room that I have literally had for, I don't know how long, but probably 15 years and it's still alive. I've always been interested in interiors. In fact, I think if I was to do my career again, I might do something like interior design. And my home has always been a really important part of who I am, that even in the past when I've rented properties, which I've done for years, I've always decorated them, bought all my own furniture and really made them into my own. I quite like second-hand stuff, things that are made out of real wood and natural materials, so most of it I've gathered up over the years. And then old pieces of furniture that I've picked up in charity shops or car boot sales, so I would say it's a real mix of old and new. My taste is quite eclectic, for want of a better word, but yeah, there's probably a lot of inspiration from Scandinavian design. I like quite clean lines, but then mixed in with, I've got quite a lot of colourful cushions that I've picked up in places like Turkey and Morocco and India. I don't necessarily have a workspace. On the balcony, I had installed a little flip-up desk. But I prefer just going out of my house and having a bit of a boundary between work and home, because I think since the pandemic, a lot of people have no boundary between work and home, and I just like to come home and then switch off. I think home, to me, is a place of safety and I guess a sanctuary. I wouldn't say I'm a real minimalist, but I don't like mess and clutter. My home has to feel organised in some way. There's something about having things that I like around me. Things that have maybe got memories of travels that I've been on or artwork done by friends. I've got a printer's tray hanging on the wall in my hall that's got lots of little ornaments, but nearly all of them have got some link to some trip or other that I've been on over the years. I've been lucky enough to travel quite a bit throughout my life and I still like going away, but I'd say now I'm a real homebody. I really like being at home. I like having a space that feels like home and that I'm rooted in one place.